What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Shop Mini RC. I'm Ken, and well, tonight we came across something I don't think we were supposed to find. Alright guys, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, share, and notification bell on this video if you find it interesting and you want to share it with people and you like what we're doing. Got to do those things. So, here's how this went. We're at our local races tonight, racing our 128 scale, Mini Zs and other platforms, but 128 scale on-road. And we'll show you. So I'm over at the trash can, basically blowing my car off, trying to get all the dirt and grime off of it, and my body fell into the trash can. And right on top of these papers that just stood out, 28 Scale Racing Association. So I just had to pull it out, take a look at it, see what it was about, and then I realized what I had here. And it's not just one page, it's 10 pages of information, basically rules formats and class rules for 128 scale on-road. Could this be the start of a non-manufacturer organization to manage the rules for 128 scale on-road racing? We've all been asking for it, and that's what it looks like. So when I got home tonight, after going through this and reading it and just seeing what it was about, and here, we'll go through it in a minute and I'll show you everything I found. So the first thing I did when I got home was search for this on the internets, and I found something on the Facebooks, and there is a page for the 28 Scale Racing Association with a spiffy new logo. This is what I found. And they've even got a group, it looks like. So it looks like there's some organization starting up that's going to be handling some 28 scale on-road racing rules, which is pretty sweet. A lot of people have been asking for something like this for quite a while in a lot of other organized racing events and even like crawler events, just any kind of competition. Usually there's a centralized body that manages all those rules. And one of the things that I've noticed in a lot of the different segments, whether it's crawling or on-road or buggy racing or any of that stuff, when there's a manufacturer that organizes it all, the rules always get skewed, always. So people have been asking for a while in the 28 scale for a non-manufacturer based rule set and organization that manages that rule set and puts on events that are non-manufacturer based. Because a lot of times the manufacturers require you to use their motors or their ESCs, and there's a lot of spec stuff. And again, when it's just one manufacturer running it all, that's not good. And the irony is tonight I'm wearing this. How ironic is that? Also, ironically enough, there were a bunch of crazy rules changes and drama that happened with some PN stuff. So I don't know if that's even related to this. But this could be what we've been looking for. Let's dive into what they're looking at doing. And again, I'm going to show all the pages and I'm just going to go through it real quick, but you can pause and read the whole thing if you'd like. Let's see what it's about. Now, obviously, this first page, the number one thing we see is the name, and it says it's a draft. So clearly they're not finished yet, but there's been some revisions already. They have their race format, their different classes, and then the general rules. The second page has their revisions, and it looks like they updated this month, literally 4 days ago, and then also maybe 2 months ago. And who knows, maybe there were revisions before that, and they just cut them out and only keep the recent ones. I don't know. They are numbered pages, so we should be having it all here. I'm not sure, but you can see the revisions they had. Next is their race format. They've got their practice rules, or the basic practices, the different qualifier rules, and then the mains. And again, I think these are for bigger events. It says main race times may be reduced to 6 minutes if the time to complete the mains becomes an issue. So yeah, this definitely looks like it's more for larger events like nationals and worlds and maybe even regional type events. But of course, I'm sure you could adopt them for your local club racing. And then we've got our classes. This looks like it's Kyosho box stock, and it looks like our traditional box stock. Pretty much nothing can be changed except like ball bearings, wheel nuts, screws, T-plate. Can't even do the kingpin flip. That's okay. So So that looks like it's very similar to some of the other rules sets that are out there. Next, we've got stock. Stock looks pretty standard, except there's the addition of this LiPo stock, the 2500 for LiPo. Yeah, because I guess historically stock was a AAA only class, so they ran AAA 3500s. Also, it looks like they have a maximum KV of 2700 and 3700, so they'll be able to tech your motor and make sure that your KV is not crazy above, because manufacturers have different KVs that come out, you know, just based on manufacturing tolerance and stuff. Even in the same manufacturer, you can have variance in the KV. So there's some room for that error there, which is nice. And then let's see, the gear ratio is different for LiPo and AAA, obviously. 12 tooth, 53 spur. And then on the AAA, it's 16 tooth, 53 spur. So this is interesting. On the wheels, all brand plastic and aluminum Mini Z production wheels are allowed. And then maximum front wheel width is 8.5 and the rear is 11, not including the outer flanger disc. And the maximum wheel diameter is 20. They must all be original designs made for Mini Z. So what's interesting about that is it doesn't include the outer flanger disc, because those actually make the wheels wider. Not the tires, but the wheels themselves are just a little bit wider to fit that outer flange and to make sure the tires fit in there. So that's good addition there. And then we've got our tires with a general tire. We can get there in a minute. And then batteries, AAAs and LiPo. Yep. And option parts. Look at this. Any aftermarket Mini Z publicly available production or 3D printed parts are allowed. Any 3D printed parts are allowed. Interesting. Prototype parts are not allowed. Refer to, okay, so we'll look at that when we get to the end. Looks like it's going to probably be towards the end. All right, the next class is going to be Super Stock. This is a 3500 class with a 10 tooth, 53 tooth spur. Same wheels, same tires, same LiPo, ESC. You got to stay on blinky mode, and then bodies. Oh, you know what? Something I also saw in, we'll go back to stock real quick. Any manufactured molded hard shell that fits are allowed on the wheelbase. Let's see, all parts must be original. So body material may not be shaved or thinned for weight reduction. And Lexan roofs are allowed, but they're going to be phased out this year. Lexan wings are not allowed. So no Lexan roofs, no Lexan wings. Interesting. So basically straight up hard body only. I like that. I like that. Because then in Super Stock, you can run Lexan bodies, but it's Lexan only, no hard bodies, which is good because you don't want to be running hard bodies with Lexan bodies. You're just asking for somebody to get something broken. So there's your Super Stock again. Then we have Modified GT. Basically, you can kind of do whatever there. And then we have Modified Open. And there was no pan class. So Modified Open lets you run any parts allowed, including homemade parts, 3D printed parts, and prototype parts. So you can run anything in the Modified Open. Another thing, if you notice on the body, it says you can run Lexan pan car bodies and LMP bodies, not just pan car bodies. So I like that too. It's an open class, not just a pan car class. That is pretty awesome. All right, now we're on to the general rules. All this stuff looks pretty typical, but it's nice to have it all in one spot and by a non-biased organization, essentially, non-manufacturer biased, right? Hard bodies and Lexan bodies, all the information there. And then the last page, this one has some notes on it. It looks like needs work for the approved Lexan bodies, the approved pan car bodies. And then there's a little note that says, just because a body isn't listed above doesn't mean it's not allowed. Check with your race director before the event to get a final answer on whether your body is allowed or not. And then the highlighted part here, prototype and 3D printed bodies. So this is interesting and very important because there was some issue at one of the larger races. I ended up not attending that race, but I heard there were some issues and there's some questions. But basically, any production or 3D part not publicly available within 30 days before the start of the event is considered a prototype part. So that is good. That gives everybody in the public the opportunity to purchase, install, and test the parts that they want to race prior to the race, and everybody's got a fair shot. Any new parts may be publicly announced via social media or website and be available for purchase on a national scale to be considered publicly available. So again, not just something you have to buy off of a specific person or from a very specific place the day before the race, something like that. 3D printed files shared with the public 30 days before the start of an event can be printed and that can be printed by the public will meet the requirement of being publicly available for that particular part. So that is awesome too. That means if there's an STL out there, or step file or whatever, a 3D printing file that's publicly available for 30 days, you can use that part on any of your cars, not just the open class. That is pretty cool. I really dig that. So you can literally have a completely 3D printed car as long as everything's publicly available or purchasable. Then for 30 days, then you can run it. Pretty sweet. And then we've got sportsmanship stuff, which is pretty standard. So some pretty cool stuff in this document, and hopefully it's going to really kind of homogenize what everybody's running. If this is something that's going to be pushed hard on a national level or even global scale, I think it'll be really cool to see smaller tracks be able to adopt this specific rule set, or at least a very similar one, so that when larger regional events or national events or even world's events come along, everybody's on the same page and people aren't rushing to try to modify their car to try to fit into a specific event. Everybody can be running the same thing. And again, I think the key, I'm hoping that it's a kind of a decentralized organization where they have different board members. I'm part of a board of directors for the RCMCCA.org, which is a mini rock crawler competition association. And basically there's 9 directors, and we all have voting rights, and we're all from different parts of the country and different size clubs and have different focuses. And it basically helps make sure that the rule set is what's best for the majority of people, right? And no manufacturers are allowed in that organization. So to see this, I'm hoping there's no manufacturers allowed to be part of the rule set changes. We in our organization do allow for advisory spots for the manufacturers, so different manufacturers can advise us of what they're producing or what rules they're not fans of and stuff like that. But then the organization, again, nobody is part of those manufacturers, so they're able to have an unbiased vote when it comes to at the end of the season, and we go to vote on rules changes. But yeah, I'm really hoping this is going to be something similar to that. I did end up, when I found the logo for the Facebook page and their group, I also recognized it from a video here, and it was up on the live stream here for like 12 minutes, and then it disappeared. I don't know what that's about, but it looks like there's a sponsorship already happening. So pretty cool. I don't have a whole lot of information on this. There's a lot of speculation here, but again, this is what we need. And if this is not what I hope it is, then hopefully somebody will do what I'm hoping, because I really want to see, again, a non-biased, organized rule set putting on large national and global size events. So that'll be pretty sweet. Anyway, guys, kind of just ranting here. I'll go ahead and wrap this up. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell so that when we find out more on what it's just about in general, and we make videos, you'll know when those videos go live. Why don't you put down in the comments below if you know anything about this or what you're hoping this is. Maybe you're on the same page as me and you hope that it's that type of organization, or maybe you hope it's something different and we'll kind of grow into something that I haven't thought of. I don't know. Who knows? All right, guys, get out there, build something awesome. Build a community if you're not going to build a car. And if you do build a car, you can smash and crash it and bash it, but just try not to break the expensive parts.